Hi, today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism with my favorite cat, Biddy, in Arcadia Quest Inferno. I've not played the original Arcadia Quest, so I won't be talking about that, but I think the mechanism that I'll be talking about, both of them really, are in both versions of the game. They're very similar games, from what I've heard. The mechanism I had planned to talk about was about how having a character die in Arcadia Quest is like just enough of a big deal to be annoying so that you don't want your characters to die, but it's really easy to respawn them. I was going to talk about it in reference to the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle, which I really like the system of you don't die in that game, you get exhausted, and then it's a little annoying, and then you're back on track. I really like that. I think it's hard in games to get that right balance between giving players an incentive not to die or not to be exhausted. Have it not be too bad, but have it be bad enough that they actually care about it. But that's not the thing I'm going to talk about. The thing I'm going to talk about is another very simple mechanism, but it makes the game a lot of fun. And this is the mechanism of exploding dice. You may have heard maybe the Dice Tower talk about this in their favorite combat mechanisms. And it's just a very clever mechanism in terms of, in this game, it's in terms of how you battle. So battles in Arcadia Quest, you basically decide, am I going to do a melee battle or a ranged attack? And you roll some dice. And if you count up the number of like ranged symbols on there or melee symbols, depending on which type of battle you're doing, and that's the amount of damage you're going to deal. There's another symbol that you can roll, which is the exploding symbol. And this is the most fun symbol in the game to roll because it's a wild, so it counts as whatever you wanted to roll, and you get to roll that die again. It's a very simple mechanism, but it makes any type of battle, whether you're attacker or the defender, a lot of fun, and you always feel like you're in it. There are battles where maybe you are much stronger than the opponent, and you roll that exploding dice, and it's fun to get like stronger and stronger because the more dice you roll, the more likely it is that you will roll some of the exploding dice and have these rerolls, maybe another reroll after that. But it also feels good as the defender because you always feel like you have a chance. And that's pretty much it. It's a very streamlined mechanism, but it works so well in making combat fun. And it also makes combat fun not just for those who are involved, but those who are observing it. Because it's really fun to watch another player, even someone you're competing against, roll those exploding dice because they get to roll again and maybe do something completely unexpected, which is a lot of fun in the game. In this type of game, at least. I would love to see this. In fact, I'm working on a game where I'm considering adding this exploding mechanism to skill tests. Because I think in this game it works really, like this is essentially a skill test for combat. But there are a bunch of games that involve rolling dice to pass a skill test. So you might have an encounter in the game where you can either fight somebody or you can try to trick them out of their pocketbook or something. And you get to choose, am I going to do a combat skill test, or am I going to do a dexterity skill test? And they might have different levels. And in most games that have this, usually I go for the odds. I don't go for the option that has really far odds, or maybe even be out of reach. But with exploding dice, anything is actually within reach, and so it might give players a little bit more incentive if it feels right to them to do the thing, to steal the purse in this instance. If that feels right or more fun for them, because the exploding dice are there, they might be more incentivized to or more encouraged to choose that option because there's the chance that they'll succeed. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the exploding mechanism. I doubt it's only in Arcadia Quest. I'm sure it's in some other game. So if you have another example of another game that uses this mechanism, or if you have an idea that you want to brainstorm in the comments that you think would work well with this exploding mechanism, I'd love to hear about that and chat about it as well. Thanks.